This is the 2024 Buick Encore GX. It's the preferred trim level, and while this is the lowest trim level available, you might be surprised at the features, functionality, and technology that you get with this model. There have been some changes made to the exterior and interior for 2024. The interior definitely looking more modern and high-tech than ever before with the new 19-inch Virtual Cockpit, the largest infotainment screen in its segment, and there are a few other changes to the exterior. The main will be on the interior. And if you're curious about changes to overall size, no, there are no changes there. This is really a refresh. It's not a full redesign, but I think Buick has definitely done a good job here with what they have changed. Let's dive in and find out exactly what those changes are. When it comes to the exterior, the redesigned front end has a forward-leaning look, and as you can see, it literally does lean forward. Not aggressively, not too much, but enough to give a really nice look to the front end of this Encore. You have the new winged LED headlights, and everything comes to a crescendo right here in the center, and you'll notice the new Tri-Shield Buick logo. This is the first model to actually be in production that features this not only on the front end but on the rear as well. And as we work our way around, this model is going to come standard with front-wheel drive, but all-wheel drive is optional across all trim levels. And you have the new 18 and 19-inch wheels. These are the 18-inch wheels in case you were curious about that. And we'll continue to have great features such as passive entry. We're going to have that right here on the front and rear doors. For you parents out there that maybe have one or two little ones that are going to be in car seats in the back, well, you're going to come here first. And the good news is that you can push this button and lock and unlock all four doors from the rear doors. That is a good thing. And something else we're going to see that's different. There's that Tri-Shield logo again with the design on the remote. You can see what all is there. Pretty simple, but it definitely does a good job. And depending on the trim level that you get, if you go with ST or Avenir, you're going to find the LED taillights. Still a nice look back here overall. But let's talk a little bit about what's under the hood, because that might be of great interest. By the way, if you're curious, the base price on this model is $25,600. Now, when it comes to engine options, you need to drive one of these before you just automatically assume that it's not worth buying. It actually has been very impressive in what little driving I've done so far. So here under the hood, we have the 1.2 liter. It is a 3-cylinder engine. It makes 137 horsepower and 162 pounds-feet of torque. It is mated to a CVT, seems to be very well behaved. And let's take a look at the MPGs. That is an advantage of this engine combination. 30 miles per gallon city, 31 highway, 30 combined. And Buick says you should use 3.3 gallons of gas per every 100 miles you drive. And this model features a 13.2 gallon gas tank. And there is a second engine option that comes in the form of a 1.3 liter 3-cylinder engine. It makes 155 horsepower and 174 pounds-feet of torque. Whether you go with the 1.2 or the 1.3 liter engine options, both are mated to the single-speed, continuously variable transmission. And obviously, as you likely saw earlier, of course, you're going to have that new Tri-Shield Buick logo back here on the rear. If you want to tow with your Buick Encore, it can tow up to 1,000 pounds. And while this trim level does not offer a power tailgate, it does have the dampened tailgate that opens basically by itself once you get it moving. You have 20.3 up to 50.2 cubic feet of cargo capacity, and the good news here for a lot of people, you do have a spare tire, and you have a multitude of positions that you can set the floor, as you can see. So we've already got one position, two positions. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. I don't think I can. I am definitely going to have to work on my one-handed skills, but as you can see, there's another position for the floor. So you can raise and lower this floor a few different ways depending on the situation and your needs. And obviously you can maximize cargo capacity by lowering these rear seats. Both sides do fold completely flat. That is an advantage. And while there are no changes in the rear seating area, we'll go ahead and take a look at what you can expect here. You do have soft touch materials throughout the interior, a nice sized door bin right here, and dual seat pockets on the rear. You could call those map pockets, but probably a little outdated terminology because who uses maps anymore, at least a regular map? Everybody uses maps on their phone these days. Now, you don't have air conditioning vents back here in the rear seating area. In an interior of this size, I don't think that's an issue, but you do have the USB options right here for your rear seat passengers. And we'll take a look into the front seat through the passenger side door. You can see the contrast stitching. We're going to have more of the soft touch materials and a little bit larger door bin. Now here on the preferred trim level, you're going to find that the driver and passenger seats are both manually adjustable. So not power here. I don't know if that's going to be that big of a deal for most people. Keep in mind, the sticker price in this model, for those of you who made it to this point in the video, $27,430. Still not bad for what you get here. There's still a lot of technology to look at that we haven't seen yet. And a very nice deep glove box right here. Single zone climate control. I don't think that's going to be a problem here because you have a small interior, so not an issue with that, at least not in my opinion. We have our connectivity options down here, USB connectivity options, and the 12-volt power outlet. If this model had wireless charging, here's where it would be. You can see some of the buttons right here. We can turn traction control on and off. You can also turn on or off the auto stop start feature. Conventional style shifter here, which is good. And a little bit of gloss black. You don't really see a lot of gloss black within the interior here of this trim level, but that's the main area where you're going to see it. The cup holders there, a little bit of space in front of the center console. And something I do have to say about the center console is that its height is higher than other competitors that this model competes with. That means it's a little bit easier to put your arm on the lid that doubles as the center armrest here in the front seat. And then we have two options here for space. Obviously, the tray right here is removable. You have quite a bit of space within the center console itself. But like I said, there's technology we haven't even looked at yet. Let's talk about the Virtual Cockpit, a big change for the Buick Encore GX. And for the most part, we're going to see a mirror image on the driver's side door as we saw on the passenger side door with a few extra features here. Obviously, you can control those heated power adjustable but manually folding side view mirrors. And you know what? Because I've had people ask me about this in the past, how do you manually fold the side view mirrors? Like that. It's not that difficult. Yes, I have had people ask about that. Yes, you also have blind spot monitoring here. Among many additional safety features, the steering wheel is adjustable, tilt and telescopically. Nothing new where that is concerned, but here's what we have as far as the Virtual Cockpit goes. The total of 19 inches worth of screen. It is one continual screen all the way across. So what we have is an 8-inch digital instrument cluster for the driver that looks very nice, sharp, modern. It is a spectacular view. I think that really brings a very nice modern look for Buick. And again, we're going to have that new Buick logo here, your steering wheel mounted controls, all the typical features and functionality you would expect to find here. But here is a change. Obviously, with the 11-inch screen, we've got 8 inches over here. We've got 11 inches over here for a total of 19 inches. And then you still have your control here for volume, for turning the radio on and off, and all of that good stuff. That's always a good thing. But one thing that has definitely changed is now you have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. That is obviously going to be standard across the board on all trim levels, no matter what you do. A very simple system to use. I don't know that we have a dark enough situation here to really show this to you the way I would like to. Hopefully it's showing up. But you can see what you have here. And notice right here where I'm resting my hand. That's what that's for, just to kind of make it easier to rest your hand up there and really just have an easier time navigating your way around on the screen. So there's a lot going on here as far as different features, different functionality, different things you can change depending on your desires. and or needs, I really think this has brought the Encore GX to a completely new level. And obviously there is going to be a backup camera. In this case, it's just one view, but you can see that it's nice and bright. You have your trajectory lines right there that you can turn off if you want to, or turn those back on. And so quite a bit going on here. A very nice modern look across the board, that is for sure. But I know the big question is going to be, what is it like to drive? Let's get out on the road and answer that question. Okay, we're going to get out on the road for our test drive now. And like I said earlier, you really need to drive one of these for yourself, no matter which engine option is under the hood. You might be surprised. I know a lot of people are going to say, I'm not interested in a 3-cylinder engine. It gets down the road with absolutely no trouble. I've had no trouble with acceleration. It seems to be well behaved as far as the CVT goes. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Now, all of the changes that we've talked about here with this 24 model of the Encore GX, what hasn't changed is the overall size of the vehicle, the shocks and suspension and all of that. None of that has changed for 2024. So it's really just all of the cosmetic changes, the technology changes. That's what we've really seen for this year. Significant changes, that's for sure, especially with the virtual cockpit. I think that that is just one of the most amazing things here, because it really is in line with Mercedes-Benz and BMW to a degree. It looks as modern as you can get. I think that's a good thing. The ride quality here is good for an SUV of this size. You have a good ride quality. It's very enjoyable. It's not going to beat you to death. But one thing about all of that, whenever I say those things, I always like to preface it by saying you really just need to drive this for yourself. As I already said, not only for dealing with the engine and the transmission, but just the overall ride quality. It does handle extremely well, and obviously is very maneuverable, has a nice tight turning radius. It's great for big city driving. But depending on what you're used to, well, you might think it rides even better than I think it does. So that's why it's always a good idea. I feel like the test drives in these videos that a lot of us make here on YouTube, the test drive portion of the video is probably the most difficult, because we're trying to articulate back to you what we're experiencing in the vehicles. But like I say, it really depends on what you're used to and what your expectations are, and maybe even where you live. You may have far superior roads where you live than we do here in Louisiana, especially here in Northwest Louisiana. If you want to test your shocks and suspension, this is a great place to visit. But maybe not the most enjoyable ride quality, that's for sure, on these roads. But overall, when it comes to the changes that Buick has made, I'm impressed, especially with the interior, with this virtual cockpit. But even with the exterior changes on the front end, gives it a little bit more modern look. By no means a full redesign, but a nice refresh. I think that Buick has done a good job here. So tell me what you think down in the comments section. Did Buick make the right changes to the 2024 version of the Encore GX? As we get our opportunity to get our hands on higher trim levels as they come into Morgan Buick GMC, where I borrowed this model from, well, I'll definitely show you what you can expect to find on those models. If you want to know more about this particular model, or maybe just come in and look at whatever other vehicles Morgan Buick GMC has in inventory, check out the link down in the description of the video. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends at the dealership for giving me the opportunity to borrow this new model for the day, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.